Happy Friday. This is All About Bitcoin, a show dedicated to all things questions and markets related to Bitcoin, little b for the currency, and Bitcoin, big B for the network. A collective journey to understand, apply, and use this innovation, all Bitcoin, all the time. Your host, Christine Lee. Let's have a live look at Bitcoin. The CoinDesk Bitcoin price XTX index currently at $44,480, up just about over 1% over the past 24 hours. The most reliable reference prices for institutions since 2014 are now published under the CoinDesk brand, listed globally as the leader in crypto news, events, and data. The chart of the day is brought to you by Crypto.com, the world's fastest growing crypto app. Data tracked by Glassnode showing the number of coins held on centralized exchanges has dropped to its lowest levels since September of 2018. More than 7,000 coins have left exchanges in less than a week, offering bullish cues to the market out there. Bitcoin continues to gain ground amid unconfirmed reports suggesting that the Luna Guard Foundation, focused on the world's fourth largest stablecoin UST, is accumulating billions of dollars worth of BTC in $125 million increments as a reserve asset. As CoinDesk saw Cargo Bully noting, official confirmation of the purchases is still awaiting. The foundation announced the decision to build a 1 billion Bitcoin reserve last month. Terraform Labs CEO Do Kwon saying the foundation has plans to increase its reserves to $3 billion with a long-term goal of raising a $10 billion fund. All right, joining me to discuss BTC price and other Bitcoin news is our Week in Review panel. You know them, you love them. CoinDesk Managing Editor of Technology, Christy Harkin in Toronto, and Managing Editor of Markets, Brad Cowan in Austin. Hey there, Christy and Brad. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. We're head popping today.
Yep. Well, taking a look at Terra Luna and the markets, Brad, what's behind this rally? Do you think it has to do with Luna, or is it just one among many factors out there?
Well, I was just reading a piece by Greg Cipollaro, who's one of the top Bitcoin analysts over at NYDIG, and he had a whole report on this. And for sure, this is providing, it appears to be providing some support to the market. I mean, some of these numbers are unconfirmed, it's rumors, but the idea is that, they're creating this, they want to buy $3 billion of Bitcoin or however much they want to build. They officially announced 1 billion. I think the rumors are 3 billion, maybe up to 10 billion. I mean, a lot of this stuff is speculation, but, if you boil it down, $125 million additional of buying per day of Bitcoin is kind of what he back of the enveloped. Yeah, for sure. It's an extra supporting factor.
There are other things going on there. Goldman Sachs, they did their first OTC Bitcoin option trade. Bridgewater Associates also, they're thinking of creating their own crypto fund. Russia is talking about potentially accepting Bitcoin for oil. So a lot of other factors out there.
Absolutely. It was like one of those weeks where there was a lot of news, kind of all over the place, I mean, sort of going back to some of our discussions last year is sort of where's the demand coming from for Bitcoin? The supply is fixed. So ultimately it comes down to demand. So here we kind of have two new use cases for Bitcoin popping up this week, as this potentially as a reserve asset behind this, suddenly popular stable coin. And then, I mean, who knows with Russia, what's happening there, but, that could be
Janet Yellen, she is the Treasury Secretary. She's also offering some more constructive conversation around BTC. What's the latest on that?
I mean, this follows from the executive order that the Biden White House put out a few weeks ago, and we talked about that. I mean, for me, I personally thought that was super bullish. Just the fact that you have basically the White House embracing this technology explicitly and saying it could lead to a new economic boom in the U.S. economy, whereas before crypto was cast by, a lot of top officials as scammy, it's risky, it's unreliable. And here's Janet Yellen. She's been super vocal kind of critic of crypto. And now she's also, who knows if somebody talked to her and explained to her about crypto, or if she's been told by the White House, this is our new plan. Anyway, yeah, she's in the program now.
Mm-hmm. And The deputy minister of Malaysia reportedly wants to make Bitcoin legal tender, according to Arcane Research. That happening anytime soon?
I personally don't have any intel on that, but I mean, look, what's interesting is we had the El Salvador adoption of Bitcoin as legal tender last year, and now countries are doing all kinds of things. They're still talking. I mean, there hasn't been anybody else since them, but there's all kinds of rumors and apparently maybe some official discussion, some other countries that might be looking to Bitcoin as options. Obviously, we just talked about the Russia thing. Who knows? But, it certainly seems like the countries are still, looking at it.
Certainly seems there's a trend toward institutional adoption, even sovereign nations talking about Bitcoin in ways that we haven't heard before. So definitely exciting and a bullish trend for Bitcoin. And this week on CoinDesk was Mining Week. We published a series of articles on mining. Christy, you were particularly excited about the innovation in the mining sector with the creative ways some miners were creating rigs. Tell us a bit about what you found out.
Well, I think that one of the overarching themes, one of many overarching themes, we had a few really great themes this week that we delved into in Mining Week, but one of them really was innovation in many different ways. And there was a really fun article published by Jeff Wilser called 7 Wild Bitcoin Mining Rigs. And it does go into 7 of them, 7 different ways, creative ways of mining Bitcoin. And it's not just a matter of the ways that we're mining Bitcoin, but the ways that we're using the extra heat from Bitcoin to do other things and not waste the energy. So one was, for example, the founder of Greenmint has been using Bitcoin miners to heat his home for years. And he thought, what else can I use with my Bitcoin miner? What else can I heat? And his brain went to whiskey. Let's warm up the whiskey barrels and accelerate the process by using some of the excess heat generated. And he set up a whole system, and boom, you've got proof of work meets whiskey proof. One creative example. Another one in Berwick, Pennsylvania, Terra Bitcoin Mine got together with Talon Energy Corp to create zero carbon coins by using their nuclear power plant. It's an energy production facility that can use some of that energy to mine Bitcoin. Or a Minneapolis-based Bitcoin miner going by the name of CoinHeated. He's using a combination of S9s and S17 ASIC miners to heat both his home and his 17,000-gallon swimming pool. And along those lines, another fella, Jesse Pelton, is using his miners to heat up his hot tub. And then, of course, there's Venezuela,
Bitcoin
the king of all, let's use a whole volcano to power Bitcoin City and mine Bitcoin. I mean, this is a big deal, and we're dealing with innovation. Now, all this is kind of goofy sounding, but it is a testament to the power of innovation and to the creative thinking that is behind many, many people who are involved in Bitcoin mining. And on a much more practical level, we also read an article this week by Sandali Handagama, who went to Italy and visited a town of 2,500 people that is now running 40 state-of-the-art ASIC machines, and as a result is able to keep their power grid stable and to keep things running through a dry period when they might otherwise not have been able to afford to keep things going. They had subsidies to purchase energy that have expired. And now Bitcoin mining is what is helping them keep the lights on in an affordable way. So the way that Bitcoin and industry and the energy industry is working together for practical purposes has really been a highlight of this week. And if you've missed any of the articles, you should really go back and check out our Mining Week section.
Incredible. Yes, we did have a chance to speak to Sonali, and there's such amazing ways in mining in general, using excess bandwidth on computers, excess computing power. We're on laptops, mobile phones even. Why not find innovative ways of using heat generated from crypto Bitcoin mining, such as whiskey and hot tubs? I mean, I love it.
How much fun is that?
Yes. Taking a look at next week. So, Brad, when taking a look at the markets, I'm hearing a constant trend that we're in a narrow trading range for Bitcoin, but $45,000 seems to be the level to watch out for. If we get a breakout for past $45,000, it seems we'll go to higher highs.
Yeah, that's pretty consistent with what we're hearing and seeing as well, Christine. I mean, we've had a pretty big run up over the past couple weeks. We were at 37,000 just, 2 weeks ago, and we've had a pretty steady climb here, 2 pretty big weeks, and brought us up to just below 45,000. One popular technical analyst, Katie Stockton, she's seeing maybe a breakout to 51,000. Some people are still seeing 47,000 as kind of like a hard resistance level. But things are definitely looking a little more bullish here. I was just, my colleague Dominic Dantes, he doesn't seem to think we're in a new kind of longer term bullish move here, but it seems like in the kind of medium term, yeah, things are definitely looking a little more bullish.
Well, it seems that 45 is definitely the resistance line. Earlier today, it did breach 45, but then came falling back down. So it's definitely where sellers are putting pressure on price. So taking a look on regulation, Christy, we see that the European Parliament has been advancing this MiCA bill, this Markets in Crypto Assets bill, which will be a regulatory framework for the European Union that's moving forward without a very limiting provision on Bitcoin. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so the Markets in Crypto Assets regulatory package will move forward to the next phase of discussions, but it won't have a very controversial provision in it that was seeking to restrict the use of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin that are based on proof of work. It had some allowances for cryptocurrencies like Ether that are mined on the Ethereum blockchain that is proof of work now, but shifting toward proof of stake later. Now, this measure was actually voted down, I believe, last week, but there was a period of time in which parliamentarians could object and sort of challenge the vote last week, and that expired. So as of today, it is now going forward without this provision. Now, here's the thing though, even though that controversial provision is gone, it has been discarded in favor of an alternative measure that will still require the European Commission to come up with a proposal to be included on any crypto asset mining activities that could substantially contribute to climate change by 2025. So it would be a taxonomy, a way of categorizing these cryptocurrencies. And it will classify them according to their environmental sustainability, which, is kind of a red flag if you're in proof of work. Thereby, states, companies, and investors shall be enabled to direct investments to sustainable economic activities in line with the European Green Deal. So it's going to make it hard for proof of work mining companies to attract capital. So they can still there is still, some pressure there. The other thing to keep in mind is that even though this provision isn't going to direct countries to ban proof of work, it also doesn't say to them, on the other hand, there's nothing in there saying, oh, and you have to allow proof of work. So I'm curious, looking ahead to see how some of the countries who were very vehemently in favor of this provision are going to react. For example, Sweden. Will they on their own enact some sort of legislation within the countries themselves that will limit proof of work or come down hard on any mining facilities that are in there? And as we saw in some of the Mining Week articles, there's some pretty innovative green proof of work mining facilities that are already set up. So it'll be interesting to see how they square that with the the okay green companies that are already there or are in the process of setting things up.
All right, something to watch out for. Yes, they're very mindful of making sure that crypto mining is green, but no outright ban on proof of work mining just yet. So thank you very much, Christy. We'll be surely monitoring the MiCA bill as it moves its way through the European Parliament. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Brett. Have yourselves a great weekend. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks.
Always good to see you. Have a good weekend.
All right, that was our CoinDesk Week in Review panel with Managing Editor of Technology, Christy Harkin, and Managing Editor of Markets, Brad Count. All right, finally, let's close out the week by heading over to La Union, El Salvador, where CoinDesk's Elaine Ramirez is investigating Bitcoin City and why the country's much-anticipated Bitcoin-backed bonds have been delayed. Here's our special report.
Yo no me la esperaba.
El Salvador's Finance Minister, Alejandro Zelaya, announced in early February that the country's first Bitcoin bonds would be fully ready for issuance by March 20. But on the week of its supposed launch, the kickoff was still on hiatus.
Creo que no lo es todavía. Creo que hay que esperar un par de días más. Creo que hay algunos movimientos en el plan. Me gusta por lo menos las emisiones que vayan entre marzo y abril. Ahí. Mayo y junio, pues a veces sí se puede, pero a veces las variantes.
The world first learned about the Bitcoin-backed bond last November, when President Nayib Bukele announced the plans to build a coin-shaped crypto utopia to a raucous crowd of Bitcoin supporters.
So actually, what I was going to present to you is the building of Bitcoin City.
A full-fledged metropolis with zero taxes, powered geothermally by a volcano and funded by Bitcoin bonds.
Bueno, según lo que he mencionado con Ciudad Bitcoin en Conchagua, mencionado lo van a establecer en Conchagua. Conchagua es todo el territorio. La ciudad de Conchagua está de la ciudad de la Unión hacia arriba, en las faldas del volcán. Posiblemente sea aquí considerando que está el puerto y el puerto entra en función.
Located in the far southeast end of El Salvador is the Department of La Unión. It has a population of over 270,000 and a literacy rate of 72%. That's probably around where construction for Bitcoin City will begin this year, according to Bukele. But are citizens of La Unión ready to operate fully on Bitcoin?
La mayoría, yo pienso que tal vez no. Porque hay señores que vienen a comprar de avanzada edad, tal vez porque algún nieto o algún hijo les ha bajado la aplicación, pero igual ellos no lo saben utilizar, ellos piden ayuda. Para inversionar, ¿es una educación común? No. Sí, porque hay personas igual que tal vez no tienen, a veces hay personas que no ni saben ni leer y escribir, entonces ahí es el problema también.
In La Unión, local businesses have started accepting Bitcoin since September last year when the law went into effect. They're mostly using the government's official Chivo wallet. But much of the population is still trying to come to terms with it all.
Con esto.
Ajá.
Sí se puede, pero el asunto es que nosotros no podemos manejar la maquinita porque no tenemos aparato. Debemos de tener un aparato para realmente poder hacer la transacción.
Pero tienes un teléfono.
Oh, sí, ok, mi teléfono también se puede. Le voy a decir que yo realmente no puedo usar eso porque para mí, ¿cómo se llama? No entiendo mucho de la tecnología. Pero sí, si viene el dólar, sí, en mucho gusto, ¿me entiendes?
According to the World Bank, half of Salvadorans use the internet. To incentivize more citizens to use Bitcoin, the government preloaded every Chivo wallet with $30 worth of Bitcoin. But after those $30 were spent, Bitcoin transactions waned.
Al inicio, cuando empezó su uso, vinieron alrededor de unas 10, 8 personas. Últimamente, sí, como que ha mermado eso. Tal vez una persona una vez a la semana.
¿Por qué piensas que eso pasó?
Considero, pero no sé, ¿verdad? Considero que fue como el gobierno les dio $30, entonces las personas dijeron, no es mi dinero, lo voy a gastar. Y como solamente se dio ese dinero, pero no se les informó cómo utilizarlo, cómo era la plataforma. Las personas solo decidieron gastarlo.
After months of Bitcoin circulating as legal tender, data from El Salvador's Chamber of Commerce and Industry showed 86% of local businesses had not sold anything using Bitcoin. Just 3.6% of local stores said Bitcoin has contributed to a rise in sales, while 91% reported Bitcoin has had no impact on their business. Here in La Unión, Zaire Cotefani Miranda says employees still prefer the dollar.
No, realmente no hemos hecho esa pregunta. Siempre prefieren en efectivo. Pero siempre van a haber personas que no lo van a utilizar y van a preferir el dinero en efectivo. Esa parte. O sea, sí va a estar como las dos modalidades, pero no creo que se erradique por completo el dólar o que van a preferir usar más Bitcoin que dólar.
Bukele's plans for Bitcoin adoption in the country have spanned far beyond everyday transactions. El Salvador has been driving an ambitious wealth-building initiative by constantly buying the dip by the millions of dollars, mining Bitcoin with volcano power, and now developing Bitcoin City.
And I know the concerns here in Washington, D.C. is about losing power, losing the power of the dollar. And we can understand that, but El Salvador has to move on.
On the other side of the country in El Zonte, Michael Peterson founded Bitcoin Beach, El Salvador's first Bitcoin payment microcosm. He's been an influence on the country's Bitcoin acceptance, and he thinks the Bitcoin City plan was probably premature.
Bitcoin City was something that came together probably last minute. I could be totally wrong on this, but I think there's a good chance that the government saw just how much interest there was in El Salvador and all these different businesses that were here looking to invest. And also with some of the sessions during the conferences focused on free cities and some of these projects that are happening in Honduras, I think they saw, well, why not here? Why not do something around Bitcoin?
Just like the Bitcoin law's initial announcement, which faced public demonstrations and protests, the announcement of Bitcoin City was not met without fear from the local population.
En el país estamos en un momento en el que estamos como divididos entre personas que digamos entienden el Bitcoin, los conceptos del Bitcoin, y otra gente que entiende los conceptos del Bitcoin, pero que tiene ideas erróneas de lo que es, ¿verdad?
Despite educational and political hurdles, the residents of La Unión believe Bitcoin City could boost economic growth in their town.
Entonces, esas partes chocadas, aunque estemos así, con lo del Bitcoin City, lo miramos como una forma de principalmente de que inviertan otros países o otras empresas aquí en El Salvador. Lo vemos, como yo le digo, como oportunidad de trabajo, como nada más. Pues principalmente como oriente del país tienen que entender que nosotros hemos estado olvidados por muchísimo tiempo. Yo pienso que esto es algo que ha sido como una alegría para el pueblo de aquí de La Unión. Y La Unión y toda la zona oriental, los anteriores gobiernos no han hecho absolutamente pues, muchas cosas, ¿verdad? Y ya en este sentido, ya con el proyecto que están lanzando ahí, pues ya es como que una esperanza para más trabajo, para más oportunidades de empleo aquí en La Unión, porque eso es lo que hace falta.
Elaine Ramirez, reporting from La Unión, El Salvador.
All right. Thank you, Elaine Ramirez, for that report from El Salvador. That's it for All About Bitcoin. I'm your host, Christine Lee. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend. We'll do it all over again on Monday at 3 o'clock Eastern, New York City time. You're watching CoinDesk TV.